Well, hello, this is Pastor Scott Cruz, and welcome back for another mind map in the Bible. And we'll show you a couple things real quick here. You can click here and get back to, it'll always open a new page. It'll get you back to the table of contents. And if you want to get back even further, there should be a link here. There's not, I'll put one there. And you can go back to the whole Revelation book as well. But for that matter, let's just get started. You can always run these presentations yourself again, by yourself if you want to. And now for me, it'll come up because I'm setting up the presentation, but we'll go ahead and start that presentation. Smyrna. Commended. Revelation 2:9. Now, to the angel of the church of Smyrna write, these are the words of him who is the first and the last, who died and came to life again. I know your afflictions and your poverty, yet you are rich. I know about the slander of those who say they are Jews and are not, but are a synagogue of Satan. Really some neat stuff in here in this verse. Let's take a look. Now, the city of Smyrna was obviously an ancient city, one of the 7 cities in the church, and you can, I put this in the MindMap if you're ever wondering how to pronounce Smyrna. You can click on this and listen to this little video here. Dun, 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 dun.
Smyrna.
There it is. So if you ever forget how to pronounce it, you can do that there. Here's this guy again. I just think he does some pretty impressive videos going through the city, getting some different facts and that kind of thing. I'm not even familiar with who he is, but he did a really good job walking through the ancient city of Smyrna. Now, this was a Greek city, and as a Greek city, it had been destroyed 400 years earlier, and it was rebuilt close to this time. In other words, it was destroyed, it was desolate for a long time, and then it was rebuilt. And there was a disagreement. There is some disagreement as to whether John was saying which is dead and alive because of this fact. Now, if we go back to our verse again, so you are dead, now alive. However, he might have been referring to the city itself. Some people think that there's some disagreement. Not terribly important, to be perfectly honest with you. But it was rebuilt close to this time, and they were very, very proud of their city. Okay, they were proud of the rebuilding, and they became a hub. They were self-governing. They had a massive library and the largest public theater in all of Asia. They had a golden street, and this golden street was connecting Zeus's temple and the Cybele temple. Okay, now this golden street, if I understand what I've read correctly, it was lined with gold, and it connected one to the other in other parts of the city, and they were enormously proud of this city and of this street, because obviously it's pretty impressive. Now, if you wanted a place for pagan idols, it was a place for Apollo, Syphilis, Aphrodite. It was a center for Caesar worship. And this probably played into a lot of the persecution that was happening under the Caesar of the time, Dimitri, I believe his name was, and it was a source of martyrdom. So the church was in intense persecution during this time. Now, the religion that was worshipped here was Zeus, the mother goddess, which was Cybele, and I'm not even trying to pronounce that second one, and the Christ-rejecting Jews. Now, the Jewish people always had a pass from the Roman army as to worship their own God, because they were monotheists. Okay, they believed in one God as opposed to the multi-gods that was pretty much everybody else. Greek gods had a mirror, and Roman gods, and but for the Jews, so they had a pass. But Christians were messing with their pass and causing problems for the Roman army, and the Jewish people were very eager to say, we are not them. And so that's why they are called the synagogue of Satan, okay, or under the control of Satan. John says, and I guess that I didn't have to drag it over. There is the entire piece of that. Now, in verse 6, we are reminded once again that he was dead and is alive. Now, again, some people say that might have been the city because it was destroyed and now is alive. I think that was Jesus. He is dead and now is alive, because that's how my Jesus is. Now, they were faithful workers, okay, the people in Smyrna, and they were living through suffering and persecution. Now, because Smyrna was a city whose business was primarily pagan worship, okay, They were living in a wealthy, wealthy city, a city that literally had a street of gold, whether it was paved with gold, lined with gold, with statues on the sides, but the street was a golden street, a ridiculous opulence of wealth displayed, connecting the pagan shrines, okay? If living in this pagan city, most of the trade was these pagan things. There was thousands of prostitutes that were temple prostitutes. They would make idols, okay? So because they were Christians, they did not want to participate in the pagan worship. And so their faith caused them to be poor. Their faith caused them to be poor. So they're living in a wealthy, wealthy city, but they are still rich. I know your afflictions and your poverty, yet you are rich. Yet you are rich. Now I want to look at this verse one more time again, because there's one more thing I want to pull out. To the angel of Smyrna write, yet you are rich. I know the slander of those who say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. When we live our lives for God, the Bible, the promise of salvation, the promise of God coming down and helping us is in heaven. Jesus is saying, you are poor, and you're poor because of me, but you're rich. You are rich. So there's no promise to make them rich on this planet. Only a promise that you are rich now because you have me. And truly, we are rich when we have Jesus. Hey, may the Lord richly bless you, and thank you so much for checking this out. If anybody ever gets anything out of this, I am blessed. Hey, Lord bless you.